I don't like to hear
genocide against the Namibian people.
And SWAPO, hear me well. Stop acting like an opposition party. You are a ruling party. You are not an opposition party. Set the agenda items loud and clear, and let the rest of the nation follow your agenda as a nation and a ruling party. You don't have to constantly apologize and saying things to correct things. You are the leaders. So map the path, and the rest of the political parties and these ones who are backing on the side, they will follow your lead as you are the leaders yourselves. The policies, even as we speak today, we still have the red line zones in Namibia where goods cannot move freely. In a country we call a country, but you cannot cross over the avocados and beef. You cannot cross this line. And you sit back and say, who drew this line? A bunch of some Boeros and German guys who said, no, if you allow goods from the north to come down here, then the businesses of the south will die. We are the monopoly holders of business in Windhoek. You can't allow cheap things from the north to come, and those red lines are still there.
Welcome back to Make Africa Great. Today, we dive into a shocking revelation. The German government has announced that it will not pay reparations to its former colonies, including Namibia, for colonial-era atrocities. But why? Because, according to Germany, there was no international criminal law at the time of these crimes. This statement reopens old wounds, especially in Namibia, where between 1904 and 1908, Germany committed one of the first genocides of the 20th century, the Herero and Nama genocide, which claimed over 100,000 lives. History leaves scars that never fade. Some scars are on the land, others on the hearts of nations. More than a century ago, in the vast deserts of Namibia, Germany committed one of the first genocides of the 20th century. Over 100,000 men, women, and children, the Herero and Nama peoples, were slaughtered, starved, and driven into exile. Today, more than 100 years later, the descendants of these victims continue to demand justice. Yet, Germany has made it clear, there will be no reparations. Their reason? At the time of colonial-era atrocities, no international criminal law existed to prosecute such crimes. But does the absence of a law erase the moral weight of a crime? Does justice expire with time? This is the story of memory, denial, and the struggle for dignity. Germany entered the colonial race late compared to Britain and France, but when it did, it left deep scars. In 1884, the Berlin Conference carved Africa into territories for European powers, and Germany claimed vast lands, German East Africa, today Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Cameroon, Togo, and German Southwest Africa, present-day Namibia. In Namibia, German settlers soon clashed with the indigenous Herero and Nama peoples over land and cattle. By 1904, tensions erupted into resistance. What followed was brutal. German General Lothar von Trotha issued his infamous extermination order. Every Herero must leave the land. If they do not, I will force them out with the Groot roar, big gun. Within the German frontier, every Herero, with or without cattle, armed or unarmed, will be shot. The desert became a graveyard. Families were driven into the Kalahari, where thousands died of thirst and hunger. Survivors were placed in concentration camps, forced into slave labor, medical experiments, and endless suffering. Historians today recognize it as genocide. But at the time, the world looked away. Fast forward a century later. Independent Namibia, born in 1990, raised its voice. The descendants of the Herero and Nama demanded reparations. Their argument was clear: Germany had committed genocide, and genocide requires justice. Lawsuits were filed in U.S. courts, petitions were sent to the German Bundestag, and survivors' families pleaded with Germany to acknowledge the crime and compensate communities whose lands and livelihoods were stolen. Germany, however, walked a delicate path. Yes, it expressed regret. Yes, it admitted that what happened was genocide. But reparations? No. Instead, Germany offered development aid, infrastructure funding, and support projects, framing them as gestures of reconciliation, not legal responsibility. To many Namibians, this was salt on a wound. They argued, development aid is not justice. Our ancestors' blood built Germany's. Why does Germany refuse reparations? The German government insists that while the atrocities were indeed horrific, there was no international criminal law in the early 1900s that defined genocide or crimes against humanity. Genocide as a legal term only emerged after the Holocaust, with the United Nations Genocide Convention of 1948. Germany claims that applying it retroactively violates international legal principles. Moreover, Germany fears setting a precedent. If reparations were paid to Namibia, what about Cameroon, Togo, Tanzania? What about other European empires, Britain in Kenya, France in Algeria, Belgium in Congo? Western powers worry that opening this door means billions, even trillions, in claims. For Germany, the issue is not just about Namibia, it is about preventing a global chain reaction. In essence, Germany acknowledges guilt but denies liability. But can morality be bound by technicalities? Does a crime stop being a crime because the law was not yet written? Slavery, colonial massacres, and racial exploitation built much of Europe's wealth. Yet, when the victims ask for restitution, legal loopholes are raised. Critics say Germany's stance reflects a double standard. After World War II, Germany paid reparations to Israel and Holocaust survivors, amounting to billions. Why then does it refuse reparations for African victims of genocide? The answer lies in geopolitics. Israel had powerful allies. Namibia, and Africa at large, remain marginalized in global power structures. Without strong leverage, their cries are heard but not acted upon. In Namibia, communities continue to organize. The Herero and Nama leaders march, protest, and demand recognition. Court cases in the US and appeals to the United Nations seek to push Germany into a corner. Across Africa, the call for reparations grows louder. From Kenya's Mau Mau veterans suing Britain for torture, to Caribbean nations demanding reparations for slavery, to activists calling for Europe to return stolen artifacts, the momentum is building. Young Africans today see reparations not just as money, but as dignity, as an acknowledgement that the lives of their ancestors mattered. They ask, if Germany can repair relations with Jews for the Holocaust, why can't it repair relations with Africans for colonial genocide? As of today, Germany stands firm, no reparations. Instead, it promises reconciliation projects worth over €1 billion in Namibia. But many Namibians reject this. They argue that aid controlled by the government and development agencies is not the same as direct reparations to the affected communities. The question remains, can reconciliation exist without justice? Can nations heal if old wounds are never addressed? The Herero and Nama genocide is not just history, it is a living memory. Descendants still live in poverty on land once taken from their ancestors, while Germany thrives as an economic power. Until justice is served, the wound remains open. Injustice delayed is injustice denied. Germany may escape legal liability through technicalities, but it cannot escape history. The bones of the Herero and Nama still whisper in the Namibian desert. Their cries travel through time, demanding that the world not forget. Germany's refusal to pay reparations is more than a legal argument, it is a moral failure. And as Africa rises, as new generations awaken, one truth remains: there is no statute of limitations on dignity, justice, and truth. The question is not whether Germany is ready to pay. The question is whether Africa is ready to keep demanding, until justice is done.
This is the hypocrisy of IST Hoda. Can you imagine that Germany and the European nations became rich from our suffering? Their cities, their industries, their wealth built on the bones of Africans. And now they refuse even the smallest act of little justice, compensation. If Yemen can fund wars, European nations can fund wars today. If Yemen can give millions and billions in aid to other nations, why can't they repair the damage they caused? You know, when we talk about reparation, it's not just about money. It's about dignity. It's about truth. It's about saying the lives of Africans matters. That's what we are asking. We are not asking about money. We are asking for justice. So we ask the world, how long will Africa wait for justice? How long will the crime of colonialism go unpaid? The fight is not over because history does not forgive silence. Families, friends, before moving too far, let me first of all share this video of Mr. Joshua Maponga when he was in Namibia. So families, wait a little bit and hear what Joshua Maponga is saying, and then we'll come back to conclude this story. Welcome.
Thank you.
Water. Number 2, it is land. Number 3, it is air. That's what we are made out of. And that's what gives us legitimacy to stay on this earth. Every one of us, we have a right to clean air. Every one of us have a right to clean water. Every one of us have a right to land. So we don't have all these ministries, beautiful and cosmetic as they are. Minister of what, minister of what, minister of what, minister of what. Oh, they sound very nice, those things. You only have one ministry. Come and say after me, how many ministries? How many ministries? And that is the ministry of land. Because in ministry of land, agriculture is there. In the ministry of land, water is there. In the ministry of land, roads is there. In the ministry of land, infrastructure and housing is there. In the ministry of land, mining is there. In the ministry of land, agriculture is there. If you don't have land, what are you ministering? I mean, we can tiptoe around this thing until the cows come home. The Namibian government, through the SWAPO Liberation Organization, need once and for all to look at land as the real ministry, and all other ministries can wait. Even energy is founded on land. Without land, how can you harvest solar? How can you harvest oil? How can you harvest water to generate the power that you're talking about? So land is critical. Hear me as I'm looking for a landing strip, ladies and gentlemen. When we have these ideas, we are going to be spending $500 million. Congratulations, Honorable Minister. $500 million going towards agriculture. Oh, put your hands together. Ah, wow. Now stop and start crying. 70% of that land is still sitting in white hands, so the 500 million is going to who? Where is it going? And again, before you get discouraged, as Africans, remember you learn from your neighbors. I'm coming to you from a radical space of Zimbabwe. Now you have an option, because South African policies of land are affected, number 1, by Germany, number 2, by South Africa, and your own Namibian policies. Shame to say, South African land, 72% of that land still lays and sits in white farmers. In Namibia, you're at 70%. So when you look at yourselves in terms of land, just consider that you are exactly where South Africa is. I'll address you as politicians. Because of the golden gloves around land, ANC broke into pieces. UDM, Likota's party, what do you call it? COPE. After COPE, EFF. After EFF, MK. And you go to the manifestos of all these political parties that broke away from ANC, it was one single issue, that they are not willing to address the issue of land. Namibia, you're not far from that. I see lots of young people beginning to look for change. They're not looking for change. It's because you are being gentle the way you look at this monster. So I'll give you a quick solution. The quicker you address this issue, the better. Follow me carefully. We are going to do everything according to the rule of law. Congratulations. Whose law? The same Roman Dutch law that sent you to war is the same law you are trying to implement to fix it. Now let me teach you something like a criminal. Use the law, but use it to your advantage. This is how you do it. I'm telling you a strategy like a serious criminal. You agree that we're going to buy all the land from you, but we're going to pay you only to the developments that we have done. But we're going to deduct the destructions that you have done. And we'll give you the change. I mean, that makes sense. We agree. So you found our land virgin. It was clean. It was productive. You have worked on it for 50, 60 years. You've put fertilizers. You've polluted the rivers. You've what. The quality of the land that you found, vis-a-vis the quality of the land that we are now buying, cannot be at the same price. So we agree to the 3 million purchase of your farm. We deduct siltations, salting of the land, destruction of nature, and etc. And we give you the change. And then we can decide how much can we pay you for what you destroyed. I mean, if they use the law, because for me it's clear, if you take away the law, the land without law, how can we use law to take it back? It was taken without law. In our own way in Zimbabwe, we would take it back without law. That's fair. Unless there were treaties that were signed for you to take it by law. What am I talking about? When it comes to the issues of land, Zimbabwe, we took a radical land reform program. Follow very carefully. We got tired, 25 years of being lied to by the British government. We are going to, when they were using our land as a retirement package for their soldiers from the British Army, and they lied for 25 years, hoping that in 25 years, Mugabe will be gone. They were disappointed. The man was still alive and he was there. And the promises they'd given him were not fulfilled. So it became a mess. The soldier said, if you don't give us land now, you and Britain are all going out. Mugabe had to make the U-turn in his policies and look at Tony Blair and says, Tony Blair, you can keep your Britain, I'll keep my Zimbabwe. But that was under emergency. They grabbed the land. I'm being very frank, very frank. They grabbed the land. Unfortunately, our brothers, being our brothers, they distributed the land amongst themselves. It trickled a little bit to the bottom, but the rest of them, the generals and the army, some grabbed more than they could need. And up to now, chased the white people out of the economy, and our food basket went down, our economy went down, sanctions followed us, and for the rest of this generation, you have known Zimbabwe as a junk state because of that. Now, you are Namibia, you are smart. Slightly smarter than us. So I'll give you a 5-year to a 10-year plan. Start a vigorous agricultural training program for your youth. Stop talking land. Stop. Just stop. Don't make noise for these white guys. They will wake up. But I'm giving you a strategy. For the next 5 to 10 years, start developing serious commercial farmers who understand the agro-business. From soil to plants, to animal husbandry, to what, who understand it fully. Then take the communal land that is now available. Experiment with them. Teach them. Let them know how to do the food security business. Remember, guys, the guy who feeds you controls your mouth. You can't talk too much. If you are borrowing food from me. And remember, food is now being used as a weapon. So they will control your food, as they did in other countries and as they are still doing now. So have an educational program first. So it starts off with your educational system. Develop agricultural institutions as SWAPO, vigorous ones. Then slowly when they graduate, these kids, start putting them on the farms. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, your first graduates, you can begin to approach critical farmers and purchase those farms. Because chasing them away without a long-term plan, you may have to follow the path which Zimbabwe did. The Zimbabwe model is perfect, except that it was rapid and it did not meet up with a properly planned educational system that will be able to protect the stomachs of the people. But while I'm saying that, our stomachs are captured and they are colonized. We need to liberate ourselves from our forks and knives. Because poor agriculture gives us poor health. And poor health feeds into our health system. And all these GMO foods we're talking about in terms of land, we need to liberate ourselves and start going back to organic farming, indigenous seeds, small seeds. Our parents did not have water shipped around where we need more trucks to carry water. They were staying where they were staying and they had access to water. But when you moved them away from where they were, now you need to move water to where they are, which is not practical. So we need to start looking at vigorous ways of vigorously transforming this mindset, particularly as a ruling party. And SWAPO, hear me well. Stop acting like an opposition party. You are a ruling party. You are not an opposition party. Set the agenda items loud and clear, and let the rest of the nation follow your agenda as a nation and a ruling party. You don't have to constantly apologize and saying things to correct things. You are the leaders. So map the path, and the rest of the political parties and these ones who are backing on the side, they will follow your lead as you are the leaders yourselves. In conclusion, let me sit down, otherwise I'll talk until the cabs come home. You need to, again, lastly, to benchmark your land reform strategy and go to China, learn from China. No one owns land in China. The government owns land, we give you lease agreements. When you die and the lease expires, the land flows back to the owners, who is the state. Tanzania, Britain, you can own a little bit of what the Queen does.
Yes, here we are. That is Mr. Joshua Maponga. My dear lovely family, friends, fellow Africans, the main issue here is reparation, that Yemen has rejected reparation payments. You may ask why Yemen is refusing, and what will we do if all colonial masters will reject it to pay reparation? First of all, we must understand that Africa is the main supplier of raw materials. If they will give us money, Africa has already have a mission of industrialization, value addition. If they will give us money, we will industrialize our countries. We will start value addition because we have capital, we have resources, we have money. So if we start value addition, we will industrialize our countries, our nations, our continent. It means there will be no supply of raw materials to those former colonizers. So they are not rejecting that maybe they are not okay and they don't know what they have done. No, they are rejecting purposely because they know that if they will give us money or they will compensate us for what they have done, Africa will start doing value addition. Africa will industrialize, will build industries. And if we build industries, they will lack low resources because those low resources will be processed here. They will lose jobs to their people. They will lose power. So that's why they're saying they are not ready to pay to us. That's number one, that they don't want Africa to become powerful, and they don't want any African nation to be powerful. Another thing that they will not pay to us, the reason, it's because we are so divided. And this is the main reason. They know that we cannot do anything, even if they can reject, because we are so divided. But if we were united as African, we have a single state called Africa, we can speak to them that if you don't pay reparation, if you don't pay for what you have done, we are no longer going to supply resources to you. We are no longer going to do business with you. You see what America is doing on tariff. Why? Because America is powerful. And if Africa, we can become united, we can tell them that, first of all, we are no longer going to supply resources to you. Our minerals will not come to you. Then we are not going to buy from you. First of all, because we have enough. If we are united, we can industrialize ourselves. We can produce our own things, our own goods. So there's no need for us to depend on other nations. So because we are not united, that's why they can reject. And if they reject, we cannot do anything because we are weak. And I'm suggesting to all Africans, if we are serious, we want reparation and we are demanding reparation, let us come together. Let us unite. Without unity, without coming together, no one will respect us. Today we are respecting United States of America because it's a united. Chinese tribes united to form Republic of China. Indians, they are so united. You find black Indians, find white Indians, Arab Indians. They are so united. They're speaking with one voice. But Africans, we are not united. We are divided. So they are not ready to pay to us because we are divided and we are weak. So that is number 2. Number 3, why they don't want to pay reparation. If they pay to us reparation, Africa will demand also the return of artifacts, the remains of ancestors. Do you know what they are doing with our remains of our ancestors? They took the heads of Africans. They took the teeth of Africans. They took our artifacts. Have you asked yourself, what are they doing with our artifacts? Those artifacts were used by our ancestors to connect themselves to their creators. Africans, even today, if you go to many African nations, you find some Africans still connecting and speaking to their ancestors, speaking to their God through these artifacts. So if they will accept to pay reparation, they will also return artifacts. Africans will have a power. If we acquire a power, no one can drive us because we are so powerful. So they fear Africans to gain access to their ancestors. And from there, Africa will become powerful. Today, Africa, we are weak. You know why we are weak? We have lost connection to our ancestors. Today, we go to churches to pray and to ask European ancestors to help us, the things that will not come into reality. How can Moses serve Nigerians or Kwechuku? How is it possible? How is it possible that Ibrahim of Israel or of Saudi Arabia supporting Malema of South Africa, and yet the ancestor of Arab, of European, know very well that Malema is against exploitation? How is it possible? Because these people took us into slavery. These people exploited our resources and continue to exploit our resources. How can their ancestors support us? Can you support Europeans to exploit Africans? No. So that's why they are trying, they are rejecting. That is number 3, that they fear that if they will accept, Africa will become a superpower. No one wants to see Africa a superpower. And that's why every now and then Africa is planned to be weak, Africa to be exploitive, Africa to continue to punch below her weight. So they will not accept to pay reparation because they fear that Africa will become a superpower. And I've been saying this many times to many Africans. When I meet young people like me, my friends, I said, you know, Europeans are so very clever. They took our artifacts, our remains of our ancestors, because those artifacts were the medium, were being used to connect Africans to their ancestors. But what they did, they said Africans have witches. These people are witch doctors. Even those who are helping Africans to connect to the ancestors, they've been called witch doctors. But let me tell you, there's no witch doctor in Africa. There's no word doctor in Africa. We didn't have the word doctor. This word doctor came after colonialism. So there's no witch doctor. What we have in Africa is traditional healers. We have African healers. But they are telling us our traditional healers, our African healers are witch doctors. How is it possible that those who are helping Africans to connect to the ancestors are called witch doctors? We have no witch doctor in this continent. Those are European names given to those traditional healers who connected Africans to the ancestors. I can give you a little example. And of course, I've been saying this example and providing this example in many occasions. In my community, when I was young, there's a time when there's no rainfall. Our elders and those traditional men and women went to the hill to pray. They took some animals, a few cows, and goats. They slaughtered those animals and begging and speaking to their ancestors, to our creators, and telling them our challenge that we have no rain, we have no rainfall, we are going to die hunger. Then a few days after that, the rain came and we saw a blessing from our ancestors. Those are things that these people fearing from us, that if they can accept to pay reparation, to return our artifacts, to return the remains of our ancestors, Africans will become superpower. They want to sell water to us, but we Africans, we have the means to talk to our ancestors to get water. In the past, our ancestors were dreamed. Go somewhere, there's a medicine. Africans survived. You know, these black people, we black people, we survived a lot of circumstances. We survived during slavery. Some of our ancestors were castrated in Arabs to make sure that the generation of black people is going to come to an end. But we survived. You know why? Because they want these resources. We are here because we are so strong. But what they're trying to do is to take we Africans away from our ancestors. And that's why they're not okay. And they're not ready to pay reparation, to return the remains of our ancestors, to return our artifacts. They are not ready. That's why they're trying to do everything to do like that. So families, friends, fellow Africans, it's my hope that if we can come together, we can unite, we can speak with one voice, these people will pay reparation. And if we are so united, we can say from now and then, we are no longer going to do business with you. We are no longer going to supply raw material to your industries until you return what you have stolen from us, until justice has committed, until dignity is being restored. But because we are divided, because we are scattered, because we are not speaking with one voice, it will be easy for us to be manipulated. And we are manipulated because of leadership. So if our leaders are serious with what they say reparation, let us come together. And it's my hope the output from the next summit of Africa Union CARICOM will come up with declaration, not these things that we write in the books and documents. We want actions. Will come into action that from now and then, if you don't pay reparation, you don't return what you have taken, we are no longer going to do business with you. And this is possible if we can unite. And I wish in that summit to see leaders like Traore and the others to be included. This is not the summit of African Union and CARICOM. This is the summit of all black people. I don't want to hear the thing that it is about African Union and CARICOM. We want all black community, those who are in India, those who are in Australia, those who are in Caribbean, those who are in America, in Europe, all black people must be included, and asking ourselves where we are failing, why we are weak in this world, why we don't own the wealth while our continent is the richest continent. We need to ask ourselves difficult questions. So, families, friends, fellow Africans, let me not speak for too long, but the aim is to share what happened in Namibia concerning about the issue of reparation. So, brothers and sisters, it's my hope that you heard and you have something to share with us. Please do so through the comment section and share this video, like the video, and subscribe to this platform, Make Africa Great, to join the big family of Make Africa Great. Our aim is to see one day a united Africa in your lifetime. It is possible if all of us we can have the same vision, same mission. I know it is difficult, but we need to try to share our vision, our mission, that the only salvation for black people, for Africa, is to unite, to come together. Without doing so, we are going nowhere. You saw the Western power, they came together in Washington to discuss what they can do on the issue of peace in Ukraine. You see, that's what we want. We want to see when there's challenges in Democratic Republic of Congo, we black people, we come together and say, we can solve this challenge. We can solve this. We can offer this. Let us do like that. You saw these white people. They're so committed. They love each other. They come together. They speak with one voice. They defend each other. And that's why they are not ready to pay reparation. And no one will ask you, France, what have you done in Cote d'Ivoire? What have you done in Burkina Faso? What have you done in Mali, in Niger, in Senegal? Can you return what you have stolen? No one can ask you. They have our artifacts. No European nation is asking a fellow nation that return these artifacts. Why? Because they are speaking with one voice. They are defending each other. But in Africa, it is totally different. Let us, we the kind of nation, starting to change the stories. Let us change narratives. Let us write our own history that will shape the future of this continent. So of that, families, friends, fellow Africans, thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this movement. Thank you for being part of this revolution. Have a nice time. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa.